Hello students, now we start with the next topic of anatomy of flowering plant, that is secondary growth. Now this secondary growth is defined as increase in girth or thickness of plant part like root and stem in dicotyledons due to formation of secondary tissues. So it is the formation of the secondary tissues. Now secondary tissues are secondary xylem and secondary phloem. Due to the formation of this tissue, if increase in thickness or girth occurs, then it is known as secondary growth. Now this secondary growth occur or happen due to the activity of vascular cambium and cork cambium. Now one by one we will discuss about the how core vascular cambium formation occur and how it shows its activity, how core cambium formation occur and how they show their activity, that we discuss here. So first we will discuss this part in case of dicot stem, then we will talk about dicot root. Actually in case of monocot, secondary growth does not occur, so there is no need to study about secondary growth in case of the monocot stem and root. But in dicot stem and dicot root, secondary growth occurs, so we have to study. Now in dicot stem, secondary growth starts from its initial life, but in case of dicot root, the secondary growth occurs later in life or start later in life. So now we study our first part, that is the dicot stem. Secondary growth in dicot stem. So when we talk about secondary growth in dicot stem, first we talk about formation of vascular cambium ring. Formation of vascular cambium ring. Okay, first we talk about that. Now when we talk about formation of vascular cambium ring, it is formed by fusion of number 1 intrafascicular vascular cambium, and intrafascicular vascular cambium is present within vascular bundle, that is xylem and phloem. Suppose if we see this is the xylem and this is the phloem, then this is the intrafascicular vascular cambium. And second which is come here, that is the interfascicular vascular cambium. Interfascicular vascular cambium formed by de-differentiation of medullary rays, by a de-differentiation of medullary rays. Okay, so medullary rays de-differentiate means they become dividing from the non-dividing cell. Actually medullary rays are non-dividing cell. From that, again, if they gain a power of division, then it is known as de-differentiation. Okay, and this interfascicular vascular cambium is found. It is present between vascular bundle. So suppose this is the one vascular bundle and it has a this intrafascicular vascular cambium, and this is the second vascular bundle which has a phloem and xylem and interfascicular vascular cambium. The medullary rays are present in between this. Now they differentiate and form a interfascicular vascular cambium. They form a interfascicular vascular cambium. So this way it is formed, and fusion of this occur, then it will form a vascular cambium. So let's understand by the diagram. Suppose this is a diagram of vascular bundles, and several vascular bundles are found here. Okay, and here we find some medullary rays. Outer to that we have several layers of cortex and all this part. So if we see, suppose this is the pericycle, then endodermis, cortex and epidermis, and these are vascular bundle. Well, this is a primary phloem, this is a intrafascicular vascular cambium, this is medullary rays. Now this medullary rays de-differentiate and form interfascicular vascular cambium between this vascular bundle. So now this diagram, which is looked like this, in which there is a presence of medullary rays, vascular bundles and intrafascicular vascular cambium is present, but inter is not that, it is formed by the de-differentiation of medullary rays. So now it become, the diagram will look like this. Now here this interfascicular vascular cambium will form. Now this is interfascicular vascular cambium, and this is intravesicular vascular cambium. Now this two will combinedly known as vascular cambium ring. So now this vascular cambium ring is formed, as you can see here. Now apart from that, here the pericycle remain as it is, then endodermis, cortex, epidermis, they all remain as it is. Only inter and intervesicular vascular cambium will join and form a vascular cambium ring. So after formation of this vascular cambium ring, now we talk about the activity of vascular cambium ring. What we talk about? Activity of vascular cambium ring. So now we talk about activity of vascular cambium ring. Okay, so vascular cambium is already formed by the fusion of inter and intravesicular vascular cambium. Now this vascular cambium divide on both sides, and so adds cells on both outer and inner side. It adds cells on the both outer and inner side. On inner side it form a secondary xylem. Be remember, on inner side it form a secondary xylem, whereas on the outer side it form a secondary phloem. So outer side of the vascular cambium you will find a secondary phloem, inner side of vascular cambium you will find a secondary xylem. But the activity is of vascular cambium is more towards the inner side or center. So the formation of secondary xylem is more, which is will not compared to the secondary phloem. Secondary xylem formation is more. Now formation of this secondary xylem is 8 to 10 times greater than the secondary phloem. How much time? 8 to 10 times. So now we understand this activity of vascular cambium and result of its activity of vascular cambium in such a way by a diagrammatic pattern. So in this diagram you will find that there is a centrally located pith. Outside to pith you will find this structure. They are a primary xylem. Outside to primary xylem you find these things. This is a secondary xylem, and secondary xylem is known as wood. Outside to this secondary xylem you will find a vascular cambium, that is vascular cambium ring. So secondary xylem is formed by the activity of this vascular cambium ring on the inner side. Outside the vascular cambium you will find a secondary phloem, and secondary phloem outside to that you will find a primary phloem, but it is almost obliterated, means almost lost. Outside to that we find a pericycle, then endodermis, then cortex, and then epidermis. But the activity is more on the inner side. So you can see here the secondary xylem formation is more. Now you can see this, some of the lines which are showing here, this traveling from the starting of the secondary xylem to the secondary phloem. So these are known as secondary medullary rays or vascular rays, and the function of this vascular rays or secondary medullary rays is to carry out a radial conduction of food. Okay, so this is the how activity happened, and ultimately this will form. So now secondary xylem formation is more, and secondary xylem is a wood. So if wood formation occur, then obviously the thickness, the particular transverse growth will happen, the thickness and girth of the plant will increase, or a plant part will increase. Now after this, next third part we discuss, that is formation and activity of cork cambium. Formation and activity of cork cambium. Now cork cambium formation occur by de-differentiation of outer cortex cells. Okay, so outer cortex will de-differentiate and they will form this cork cambium. But the question is, why there is a need of cork cambium? So due to activity of vascular cambium put pressure on the peripheral tissues like epidermis and cortex, so they get crushed or removed. So to revive that, so to form a protective layer in place of them, is done by cork cambium. It is done by cork cambium. So now cork cambium is forming by the dedifferentiation of outer cortex cells. So now if we see the diagrammatic view of this, then you will find such type of diagram. So here you can see that there is a primary xylem, secondary xylem, vascular cambium, then secondary phloem, primary phloem, then outside to that you find a pericycle, endodermis, cortex and epidermis. So now what happens, the outer cells of particular this cortex layer, this is a cortex layer, so outer layer of this cortex cell become dedifferentiate and they form a particular tissue. So this will form a cork cambium on this side. This way outer cells dedifferentiation and will form of a cortex will form a cork cambium. Such a way. So this is a cork cambium. Now if we see a cork cambium activity, if we talk about cork cambium activity, then now I am showing the activity only in this part that happens in complete cork cambium. So if we see this diagram, then suppose this is the cork cambium. This cork cambium divide and add cell on both sides, inner as well as outer. It adds cells again by redifferentiation on both sides. The cell layer which form outer side, that is known as cork or phloem. It is known as cork or phloem. This is cork, cambium or phloem, and this is secondary cortex or phloem. So due to the activity of cork cambium, on outer surface you will find a cork and inner side you will find a secondary cortex. This phloem, phloem and phloem combinedly called as peridome. They will be combinedly called as what? Peridome. So this peridome completely formed on this outer surface. Okay, so I hope you understood the activity of cork cambium. Now, in this also, cork cells get suberized and become impervious to water. So what happens? Cork cells become suberized and impervious to water. Okay, so that is the how particularly whole peridome will form. Okay, now in certain region the activity of cork become excessive. At certain region or points, activity of cork cambium become more or rapid, and that form lenticel or breathing pores. So this breathing pores or lenticels are formed by the activity of obvious cork cambium. So what happens at that? So next we talk about the structure of lenticel. So suppose this is a cork cambium, or phloem. Okay, inner to this cork cambium, what happens? There is a formation of secondary cortex. And outside we find cork. But this cork get removed in certain parts. This cork cambium has removed in some parts. This is epidermis. It is present. This is a cork. Now, so due to the activity of cork cambium and pressure, some cells of this particular cork get loosened and removed, and at this place some loosely arranged cells will come, and here on the surface you will find a pore. This pore is lenticel, and these are the particularly complementary cells. These are known as complementary cells, which are formed in place of the cork due to the activity of this. This complementary cells are loosely arranged parenchymatous cells. Okay, next to that they replace the cork cells of that region. Okay, and lenticell are most common in woody parts, and this lenticell help in function like lenticular transpiration, that is a loss of water in the form of vapor, and second, gaseous exchange. They play a role in these two particular mechanisms, that is a lenticell. So this is the activity of cork cambium, formation of periderm, and then formation of lenticell. So this is all about a dicot stem. Now in dicot stem these three activities occur. Then we talk about these three activities in case of dicot root. Okay, and after studying dicot root we will talk about different types of different types of wood. So next is secondary growth in case of dicot root. So in dicot root also we talk about first part, that is a formation of vascular cambium ring. Now we remember in dicot root secondary growth start later in life. Okay, and here we talk about the formation of vascular cambium ring. Now in root they have radial vascular arrangement, and in that we have to form vascular cambium ring. So this vascular cambium ring is formed by fusion of cells of pericycle present outside protoxylem and cells of conjunctive tissue present just inner to primary phloem. So this is formed by the fusion of cells of pericycle and cells of conjunctive tissue, and by the fusion of this wavy cambium ring form. So now if you need to visualize it, then we form a diagram, and in diagram we can see that root have a radial arrangement of vascular bundle. So if we draw only vascular bundle, we find that there is a xylem or primary xylem, and they have here primary phloem. Here they have primary xylem. So now if we talk about the cells of pericycle, so they have exarch arrangement in primary xylem, so protoxylem is toward this side. So outside the protoxylem, pericycle will be present this side. So this is the cells of pericycle which is present outside the protoxylem, and cells of conjunctive tissue just present inner to primary phloem. So primary phloem is this, and here conjunctive tissue you will find. So if fusion of all this occur, conjunctive tissue and this pericycle cell, then the diagram look like something this way. So vascular cambium will look like something. Okay, and here we also find a okay, and the remaining pericycle will be observed here. Outside to that we will have a several layers like endodermis, then cortex and epidermis, but this is about the only vascular bundle. So we can find this is the wavy vascular cambium formed by a fusion of this particular cells of pericycle and cells of a conjunctive tissue. So now we talk about the activity of this vascular cambium in dicot root. Now, now next we talk about a wood. Wood is nothing but secondary xylem, and this is of several types. So first we talk about a type of wood based on seasonal activity of cambium, based on seasonal activity of cambium. and this is of two type, that is spring wood and autumn wood. Spring wood is also known as early wood, and this autumn wood is also known as late wood. Now if we see differences between these two, then we find that activity of cambium is more in spring or summer. So due to this, large number of vascular tissue are formed, and in this, if a large number of vascular bundles are formed, that is specifically if we talk about vessels, then these vessels have wide lumen. They have wide lumen because they are large size and they constitute a particularly spring wood. Now another part is autumn wood, where late in the season activity of cambium is less, so few number of vascular tissue or vessels are formed, and these vessels have narrow lumen. Now this in spring season one circle will be formed, and later in autumn one circle another of a autumn wood will form. So one circle of spring wood and one circle of autumn wood combinedly called as annual ring. So annual ring consists of two circles, one is of a spring wood and one is of a autumn wood. Now annual ring help to identify age of tree. It is used to identify an age of tree. By counting annual ring, we can make an estimate or estimation of an age of a tree. So if there are 20 annual rings, then total 40 circles you will find, 20 of spring wood and 20 of autumn wood. Like this we can estimate their age. And the branch which dealing with this study and analysis of annual ring, that is known as dendrochronology. So dendrochronology is a branch deal with counting and analysis of annual ring. Okay, so they work on the basis of this. This annual ring are also known as growth rings, and these growth rings are distinct or clearly visible in plants of temperate areas or temperate climate like Shimla, Nainital, Mussoorie. This area you will find a temperate climate and growth rings are clearly visible because this area have clear seasonal variation. Okay, so because of this these are clearly visible. But they are not clearly in case of tropical regions because the contrasting seasonal variation are not visible. So this is about annual rings and springwood and rowan. Now next we start with the heartwood and sapwood. Next we talk about a type of wood that is heartwood and sapwood. This heartwood is also named as duramen and sapwood is known as albumen. It is a secondary xylem near to center, and this is peripheral secondary xylem. Heartwood, when we talk about this heartwood, it is dark in color due to deposition of tannins, gums, resins, etc. They all are being filled, and due to this it become physiologically inactive or almost dead, so provide only mechanical support, and in this hardwood tyloses are present. They also block the transport and make them a non-functional. But when we talk about the sapwood is lighter in color, it is physiologically active, so water conduction takes place through sapwood. Okay, so sapwood is playing a role in a conduction, whereas hardwood is not playing a role in conduction because the things like tannins, resins, secretions all have filled this particular cavities or the lumen of hardwood components. So if we try to observe diagrammatically sapwood and hardwood, suppose this is a vascular cambium. Here you will find a primary xylem, and outside you will find a secondary phloem, and outer to secondary phloem you will find a primary phloem somewhat. Now we are talking about a secondary xylem or wood. If you observe in this, then towards center you will find this hardwood, and this hardwood is somewhat filled with the substances, so it look like this, so it is darker in color. But if we see at the peripheral part, here we find sapwood, and sapwood is playing a role in conduction because it is empty or lumen are free, so they play a role in conduction, but hardwood cannot. Now, so this way arrangement of sapwood and hardwood occurs. Now note down some of the important points. That diameter of sapwood remain constant. Diameter of sapwood remain constant because inner layer of sapwood converted into hardwood. They get converted into hardwood, which is the most important change in development of this. Okay, so this occur in this part. Now when we talk about this, hardwood is used commercially as wood. It is used as a wood commercially when plant is made hollow from center. It will not die because water conduction takes place through sapwood. Okay, so this is the important part. One more thing, hardwood is more durable and resistant to microorganism, insect and pests, okay, than the sapwood. Why? Because it is more durable. So now we have discussed with the particular type of wood based on the deposition, and that is a conduction and mechanical support. Now next we talk about a wood in dicot trees. They are of two type, that is porous wood and non-porous wood. Now this porous wood is also known as hardwood, and non-porous wood is known as softwood. So porous wood is a wood which consists of vessels, and vessels have a wide lumen because of this, which look like a pores, so because of this we call it a porous wood. But non-porous wood, where vessels are absent in wood, then it is a non-porous wood, so porosity is not observed. And example is wood of gymnosperm. But when we talk about porous wood, this porous wood is found in case of angiosperm, okay, and this porous wood on the basis of on basis of distribution size of vessels this porous wood is of two type, that is diffuse porous that is a primitive wood and a ring porous wood or advanced type of wood. In case of diffuse porous, it is found that vessels are of same size distributed throughout the growth. Means throughout the growth period the size of all the vessels remains same. An example are Pyrus and Betula, in which we can see like the structures. But when we talk about ring porous, in these large vessels are formed in early wood and small vessels are formed in late wood. Means during the growth period the size of this vessels is not uniform. So example are Quercus and Morus. Okay, so this is the ring porous wood. So that is about the type of wood. Now before this we have studied a hardwood. This is all about the wood, that is porous wood and non-porous wood. But before that we have studied a hardwood and sapwood, and we have remained with one small topic, that is a tylosis. So we should understand tylosis next. So next is tylosis or truccal plugs. Now if we define this tylosis, they are nothing but extension of a xylem parenchyma like balloon shape in a vessel. So this is suppose a vessel, okay, and this is the vessel element. This is a xylem vessel element, and here we find xylem parenchyma. Now this xylem parenchyma grow a balloon like, then this balloon like structure in lumen of vessel known as tylosis. Okay, or truccal plugs. This tylosis block the passage of xylem vessel, so conduction does not occur. And because of this tylosis also present in hardwood and make a hardwood non-functional for the conduction. So now we have completed all the types of wood, that is a spring wood, autumn wood, Heartwood, sapwood, porous wood, non-porous wood, and tylosis also we have completed. Now next we start with the last topic of this chapter, that is a bark. Bark is a non-technical term. It is a non-technical term for all dead and living tissue present outside vascular cambium. Means it consists of all the tissue layer which are present outside the vascular cambium. Means it consists of secondary phloem, primary phloem, pericycle, cortex, and periderm if it is present. Now this bark is of two types, that is early bark and late bark. Early or soft bark and late or hard bark. Now early or soft bark is formed early in season, whereas late or hard bark formed late in season. So based on the time in season they form, they are known as this early bark and late bark. Next, another classification of bark we talk, and that is bark is of two types, scaly bark and ring bark. Scaly bark develop in form of strips, so it removed in form of some flax or scales, then it is known as scaly bark. In neem, might be you have seen that in neem tree, if you see, then there is a small, this like this you will find some pieces over the brown black pieces over the stem. This is nothing but a represent bark or scaly bark. So the example is acacia, neem, etc. Whereas a ring bark develop in form of ring, so it is removed in form of complete ring, then it is known as ring bark. And the example is betula or bhojpatra. This bark is known as ring bark. Outermost layer of bark is dead and called as rhytidome. It is called as rhytidome. Bark of betula was being used as substitute of paper in ancient time to write manuscript. Okay, so it was used to write a manuscript or for the sending a message. So this is about the bark, okay, and all this wood bark we have discussed in a complete manner, and that is all about what secondary growth. Thank you.